When time starts to run out on love, it's easy for even the strongest person to be led astray.
He was younger, attractive, and charismatic. She just fell hard for him.
This wasn't just a fling. She was in love with him.
And when forced to choose between right and wrong, the lines can blur in a dangerous way.
She didn't know if he was injured. She didn't know if he was dead.
This was a love triangle that turned deadly.
What would you do to keep the fantasy alive?
When we are in love, it's easy to become misguided.
She was lying to them the entire time.
She went into protection mode over the person she loved, and that's who she is.
May 28, 2016, Omaha, Nebraska. The most populated city in the state, Omaha sits less than 10 miles from the border of Iowa.
It's the big city with the little city mentality. So the population is large, but everyone knows everyone. Everyone goes to the same places, does the same thing. We've created like this little culture hub of just friends and families and neighbors.
On this cool Saturday morning, around 2:30 a.m., while most residents are fast asleep, Omaha police receive an unexpected alert.
Omaha is equipped with something called ShotSpotter that immediately alerts the police that shots have been fired at any point. It is not throughout our whole city, however, it is in parts of the city that are sort of high crime and more likely to have gunfire. ShotSpotter goes off and all law enforcement knows that shots were fired and exactly where the shots were fired at. In this circumstance, there was one single gunshot on Lake Street.
Before officers can check it out, dispatchers receive a 911 call from the same location. On the line is an emotional 47-year-old woman named Deloma Curtis.
Deloma tells the dispatcher that someone just shot her boyfriend.
She didn't know if he was injured. She didn't know if he was dead. And she was hysterical on the phone with the police.
She says his name is Carlos Alonzo. Born on April 12, 1972, Carlos Alonzo was raised by a loving family.
Carlos Alonzo was very involved with his family. He checked on his family, he checked on his friends.
Carlos had 4 children, but by the age of 39, he had yet to find a lifelong partner in love.
Carlos wasn't very lucky in love, but he continued to look for someone to share his life with.
In 2015, Carlos found everything he was looking for when he met Deloma Curtis.
She was a 46-year-old woman, considerably older than him, but he fell for her very fast.
Just like Carlos, Deloma was known for her big heart from a young age.
Deloma grew up in a family that was pretty close-knit, pretty loving. She always took care of people. She was always pretty active in her community and in her neighborhood.
She was looked at as the protector. She had everyone's back.
She valued family, she valued relationships. She always wanted her own family. It was just something that was ingrained in her since she was a child.
At age 30, she met someone and decided to share her life.
She got married and started to pursue her dream of having a home and a family of her own.
Deloma was a lovely woman. She was active in her church. She was a devoted and dutiful wife.
Then in 2005, Deloma found a career she could embrace.
Deloma became a part of the Douglas County Correctional Facility. She was very excited about working in law enforcement.
Deloma really took pride in her job. She felt like she could really make a change by being a correctional officer.
It helped her to look out for people. It was an extension of who she was.
While Deloma's professional career was taking off, her marriage began to struggle.
She and her husband ended up separating, However, she did do her best to make the best of the situation. Even in the midst of her separation, DeLoma still believed in love and still wanted a chance at it.
After 16 years of marriage, she decided to put herself out there again. Her decision soon paid off when she met Carlos, a single father of 4.
Carlos and DeLoma clicked together very well because family resonated strongly with both of them.
That flame sparked immediately. She was excited to find love again, and they were excited to start their journey together.
After about a year of planning and building their relationship, they moved in together.
They were excited to be together and couldn't wait to see what came about.
Now DeLoma has called the Omaha police, saying someone shot Carlos.
Police quickly arrive on the scene and find a man laying on the sidewalk with a gunshot wound to his forehead. He's obviously deceased.
DeLoma was bent over Carlos, screaming his name.
Homicide investigators are called in to help process the scene.
Initially arriving, they're going to want to make sure the perimeter and the area is safe and that nobody's there to contaminate anything.
A search of the area yields no sign of the shooter.
There were not any other people in their residence at that time, or given the hour at 2:30 a.m., there weren't a number of people at the scene. It is very critical in those first minutes to get as much information as they can. And of course, part of that meant talking to DeLoma Curtis.
They lead DeLoma into the house, away from the crime scene, so they can find out exactly what she saw.
When detectives speak with DeLoma, she informs them that earlier that night, despite the late hour, she and Carlos were still awake.
DeLoma Curtis said that she was having trouble sleeping that night, and so for that reason, she was up making some popcorn, and she reported that Alonzo was just also awake listening to music.
DeLoma told police that around 2 a.m. she had gone to the bathroom.
That's when she heard dogs barking and a gunshot.
She went outside to look for Carlos, and that's when she found him lying on the sidewalk in a pool of his own blood, lifeless.
DeLoma told police that Carlos may have slipped outside while she was in the bathroom and may have come across the shooter.
She said when she found him that she called 911. She did not have her phone, and she grabbed his phone off his person and used his phone to call the authorities.
When questioned about possible enemies, DeLoma denies knowing anyone who would want her boyfriend dead.
She claimed that the relationship was great, that they didn't have any problems. She can't think of anyone who would want to hurt him.
There wasn't anything about Carlos Alonzo that made it obvious to the police who might have done this. There wasn't any obvious suspects in this particular case.
They search the home and find DeLoma's cell phone in her bedroom and collect it, along with Carlos's phone. Investigators then turn their attention to the crime scene for clues.
The forensic investigation unit and detectives did find one .40 caliber casing from a Smith & Wesson, which was consistent with the fact that Carlos was shot one time.
They find no murder weapon or any other evidence at the scene.
Besides the one shell casing, there's really nothing else there. They just aren't sure what actually happened.
Initially, it was thought that this could have been a random act of violence, even a drive-by shooting.
Law enforcement canvasses the neighborhood and tries to talk to neighbors and anybody that might know anything about this crime.
That's when they discover their first big lead.
A neighbor tells them they may have seen the shooter.
In May 2016, after 47-year-old DeLoma Curtis called the Omaha, Nebraska police, they discover her live-in boyfriend, Carlos Alonzo, shot dead outside of their home.
Detectives just don't have much to go on after speaking with DeLoma and only finding one .40 caliber casing. So they canvassed the neighborhood, hoping someone saw or heard something.
Several neighbors say they do recall hearing a commotion.
A neighbor said that he heard DeLoma and Alonzo arguing earlier that evening, I think approximately around 1 a.m., which would have been about an hour and a half before this murder, and they were fighting over her phone.
Investigators thought this was odd since DeLoma never mentioned this, and she said her and Carlos got along fine.
Neighbors say that they woke up to the sound of the gunshot and also hearing the screams of DeLoma.
One neighbor says they looked out the window and may have seen the shooter.
This witness told police that they heard a gunshot around 2:30 a.m. and they also saw a person running.
They couldn't see them enough to make out a description, but said that it was a male and that he was running to a convenience store near the house.
Detectives head right over to that convenience store. They spoke with the manager there and they actually end up getting a lucky break. Although the manager didn't see anything, they were told that they have surveillance cameras that covered the entire parking lot.
Law enforcement officers were able to get some surveillance from the nearby convenience store, and it was some pretty good surveillance.
That surveillance camera actually could see DeLoma's front door.
In the video, investigators see a black sedan that also happens to have a hubcap that's missing on the front passenger side.
The car backs into a parking space near the building at 2:21 a.m., shortly before the time of the murder.
You could see a man getting out of the car, going up.
The man that was exiting the car at the convenience store also matches exactly what the neighbors had said. 2 minutes later, the front door opens. 1 minute later, the door opens again and someone exits.
The shots happen, and then you could see the man coming back to that car.
Detectives watch as the suspect speeds away out of sight.
Unfortunately, the footage was just bad quality. They couldn't get a good look at the license plate number or identify the man's face.
Investigators released the details of the shooting to the public.
The police decide the best thing that they could do is to release the information that they do have so that they can see if they get anybody calling in with information on who this person is.
They also speak with Carlos's family to see if they might know who would want him dead.
Carlos's family was devastated by the news of his passing.
While no one knew exactly who did this to Carlos, one family member was able to give officers some crucial information.
Carlos's sister says, "Hey, DeLoma's got another boyfriend."
Apparently, Carlos had just found out about the affair a month ago, and tensions were high.
But they're not sure who the other man is or know anything about him.
It seems DeLoma's life with Carlos wasn't as picture perfect as she made it out to be.
This could possibly explain the argument the neighbors heard them have the night of the murder. Before they speak to her again, detectives pulled DeLoma's phone records, and they discovered that she had been texting back and forth with someone she saved in her phone as BJ. So investigators do a little digging to find out who this could be.
At the same time, police get a tip about the vehicle seen in the surveillance video.
The police do pretty quickly receive a call from an individual that said, "I know who this person is," by the description of the missing hubcap of the car.
Eventually, they were able to find the owner of the vehicle in those videos.
In 2024, the Omaha Police Department shared information that the crime rate in Omaha was the lowest that it has been in a long time. And a lot of that is due in part to community police relations and community partnerships. There are other cities in the United States that are actually working to model after Omaha when it comes to crime rates. But a lot of the times when crime does happen, It involves people who know each other most of the time. It's very rare that I have seen random acts of violence since I've been living in Omaha.
In the spring of 2016, Omaha, Nebraska police are investigating the murder of 40-year-old Carlos Alonzo, the boyfriend of Douglas County jailer Deloma Curtis.
In the beginning of this investigation, Ms. Curtis was acting the way you would expect. She was crying, she was upset. I don't think that there was anything about the way she was acting that would tip the law enforcement off to the fact that she might know a little more than she originally let on.
But now, investigators aren't so sure.
Neighbors reported hearing an argument between the couple an hour leading up to the murder. And now Carlos's family tell investigators that he had recently discovered his girlfriend had another boyfriend.
Detectives are also looking into someone named BJ on Deloma's cell phone that she had been texting with.
That's when they receive information about the car they saw on their surveillance footage.
Eventually, they were able to develop whose car that might be, and one of the distinct characteristics was that there was a hubcap missing. And ultimately, when they found the car involved, they were able to see that that hubcap was missing and know that that car was, in fact, the car that was caught on some of the surveillance.
The car belonged to an individual by the name of Lorraine Jones.
Detectives immediately bring her in for questioning.
She's able to tell them, yes, this is my vehicle, but I wasn't driving it, my boyfriend was driving it.
She says his name is Rolander Brown.
When she was interviewed, she did report that she was a girlfriend of Rolander Brown, and it wasn't unusual for her to loan her vehicle to him. I recall that she wasn't real specific about that evening, whether he had the car, but she did say that he was at her residence and she went to bed about 9 p.m. and he was there, and that in the morning when she woke up, that he was also there. Like, didn't know where he was during the crime, but point being, saw him at 9 o'clock and at night and saw him the next morning. She had no idea where he actually was at the time of that shooting.
Detectives ask her where he is now.
She was not able to give information to law enforcement about where he was at currently, and said that she had not seen him in several days.
After speaking with Lorraine, investigators get a hit on the phone number of BJ found in Deloma's cell phone, and it's also Rolander Brown.
It's looking like this might be their shooter, and Deloma may somehow be involved in Carlos's murder.
What the police do with this information is they go back, they do a background check on Rolander Brown.
They discover that 26-year-old Rolander Brown had been incarcerated before for burglary in 2011.
He did have a criminal record and had stayed at the Douglas County Corrections in the past.
He happened to be incarcerated in the prison where Deloma was a correctional guard.
He had been released just 3 years prior in October 2012.
On May 31st, 2016, law enforcement did put a locate warrant out for Rolander Brown as he was developed as a suspect.
Detectives also subpoena his phone GPS records.
The Omaha Police Department were able to determine that his phone was in the area going to and from the homicide scene at the time of the homicide.
Later, they can see that Brown returned to his apartment through the phone records at 3:15 a.m.
Text messages tell investigators what they might be dealing with.
It was clear that Deloma and Rolander had been talking to each other via text messaging and that they had a romantic relationship. Looking at both phone records of Deloma Curtis and Rolander Brown is that the two of them were talking to each other the night of the homicide. And those texts went on for quite some time, about an hour and a half leading up to that homicide. In fact, Rolander Brown had tried to call DeLoma, and those calls went unanswered. I believe there were 6 calls he made to her leading up to the homicide, and she did not answer them.
The last call was made at 2:23 a.m., shortly before Carlos was murdered.
They're wondering, do we have a love triangle here on our hands?
Armed with this information, it was clear to the police that DeLoma Curtis had not been honest with them.
Detectives reached back out to DeLoma.
They bring her in for a second round of questioning in hopes of getting the truth.
June 2016, Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha detectives suspect Rolander Brown in the murder of Carlos Alonzo and believe the victim's girlfriend, DeLoma Curtis, may also be involved.
We looked at her phone and figured out she was talking to Rolander Brown.
Detectives discovered text messages for about an hour and a half leading up to the time of the murder.
According to the text, it appeared that there was some kind of relationship between DeLoma and Rolander.
Detectives question if the murder was the result of a love triangle gone wrong. They decide to sit down again with DeLoma.
They questioned her some more about what her relationship was with Rolander Brown. She wasn't completely forthright at first.
She shows no emotion. They don't sense anything. She just acts as if she has no idea what happened.
She stuck with her original story, but the more they pressed her, the more she opened up.
She did eventually admit that she had a relationship both with Alonzo for the past year and that she started a relationship with Rolander Brown, and that had been going on for a couple months.
DeLoma tells investigators that she first met Rolander when he was sent to the prison she works at. Even though he was 20 years younger, he really won her over.
While the two only intended to be friends, they soon started to develop a strong romantic connection.
When Rolander was eventually released from the Douglas County Correctional Facility, he and DeLoma stayed in contact.
DeLoma tells investigators that at this point, her and Carlos are fighting a lot, so she leaned on Rolander, who was always there to support her. And soon this support made her see their relationship in a whole new light.
DeLoma tells investigators that she loved Rolander. This wasn't just a fling. She was in love with him.
According to DeLoma, Carlos soon found out, and their already struggling relationship got worse.
Over a month before the murder, Carlos and DeLoma had been arguing like crazy. And then on May 28th, Carlos caught DeLoma texting Rolander, and things escalated from there.
I think the whole deal was she was complaining about Carlos and their fighting. So she acknowledged to the police that she did know that Rolander was coming over, but denied that she had any idea that he was going to harm Carlos in any way.
Around 1 a.m., when Rolander kept calling DeLoma, she says she couldn't respond.
The reason the phone calls go unanswered is because Carlos did take her phone.
When DeLoma found Carlos dead, she was in shock. She couldn't believe it had gotten to this point.
Despite the heartbreak of losing her boyfriend, DeLoma instead protected Rolander.
Seeing the man that she was supposed to spend the rest of her life with dead outside of their home, the first thought she had was to protect the person who committed the crime. She went into protection mode over the person she loved, and that's who she is.
Shockingly, she then admits that she used her position as a correctional officer to help him even more.
DeLoma admitted to law enforcement that she used a police database that she had access to working at the corrections to learn that there was a locate warrant for Rolander Brown, and that she warned him about that locate warrant. The police were able to verify that. They could go into the system and see that, in fact, she had access to that information.
DeLoma told Rolando about the specific officers that would be looking for him. She even helped him to escape Nebraska a few days after the murder.
Now the police are realizing that the whole time when they're trying to solve this crime, that DeLoma has been lying to them the whole time. But she still refuses to give the police any information on his whereabouts.
Despite the fact that she was starting to come clean on the things that happened, she certainly didn't want to help the police find him. She, in fact, helped him get out of town and aided in that. At that point, police decided that they needed to arrest her for being an accessory to murder.
With this new information, detectives make another major move in their case.
On July 26, 2016, a warrant was issued for Rolando Brown for first-degree murder, use of a weapon to commit a felony, and possession of a gun by a prohibited person.
Knowing now that Rolando has already skipped town, investigators know that finding him will be no easy task.
As is typical with warrants, particularly on violent crimes, the Metro Fugitive Task Force was used to help track him down.
At this point, there's no telling where he is or what he could do next.
July 26, 2016. Omaha investigators are on the hunt for Rolando Brown for the murder of his girlfriend's live-in boyfriend, Carlos Alonso.
His girlfriend, DeLoma Curtis, was charged with accessory to a felony for helping him to escape after he killed Carlos Alonso 2 months earlier.
DeLoma still refuses to give up Rolando's whereabouts in order to protect him.
While the Metro Fugitive Task Force is still looking for Brown, detectives in the meantime are looking for more evidence to tighten up their case against the couple.
Soon, they uncover something vital.
In July of 2016, a man was arrested for unrelated charges. When he was arrested, he did tell law enforcement that he had information regarding this homicide.
His name is Jonas Miles, and he said that he's friends with Rolando Brown and that he saw him on the night of the murder.
Police say in exchange for a bond reduction, Jonas Miles offers to give information on the murder of Carlos Alonso. They agreed to the deal, and that's when Miles told them his story.
He, in fact, sat down with law enforcement and gave some very specific details about this case.
He tells investigators that he lives in a house with a man named Michael Thomas.
He says Rolando called Michael around 2:30 in the morning wanting to come over.
In the early morning hours of May 28, 2016, Brown showed up to their home.
Miles says that's when he confessed.
According to Miles, he had just told him and Thomas that he had just come from the victim's home.
He told this man that he had gotten in an argument with Alonso and he had to put him down. And he also said one shot. That became important to us because, of course, that's exactly what happened at that scene. There was only one gun fired, one bullet that killed Carlos Alonso. He also told law enforcement that the gun Rolando Brown had was a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson. He pulled that clip out and showed that he was missing one bullet, which also fit with our crime scene and that narrative.
To confirm what Miles was telling them, police checked Rolando's phone records. And it turns out that Rolando did call Michael Thomas at 2:25 and 2:26 a.m.
Rolando Brown's phone put him at this man's house at the time he was describing Rolando was there.
Detectives believe Miles' story and that what he's telling them is checking out.
In exchange for his cooperation, we did give him a bond reduction so he could get out of jail pending resolution of his cases. If he agreed to testify truthfully in the trial against Rolando Brown,
Hesitant to testify against his friend, Miles wavers back and forth on the deal before finally accepting it. 2 months later, investigators finally get the break they've been waiting for.
In September of 2016, the Metro Fugitive Task Force located Rolanda Brown.
They surround an apartment building right where he's been hiding out in Omaha.
While the task force was at the front door, Rolanda Brown was climbing out the second-story window and jumped out to try to escape, but he did not escape. They were able to capture him.
Rolanda is arrested and charged.
Rolanda Brown was charged with first-degree murder, use of a weapon to commit a felony, and possession of a gun by a prohibited person.
Investigators try to speak with Brown, but he refuses to talk, other than to say that he and DeLoma are innocent.
As prosecutors prepare for the upcoming trials, they decide to offer a deal to DeLoma.
Despite the fact that we had plenty of evidence at this point proving Rolanda Brown was guilty in this matter, we had the phone evidence, we had the surveillance video and statements of neighbors and different things like that, we still wanted to give DeLoma Curtis an opportunity to come clean with the truth. So we decided to give her an actual plea agreement, and the agreement was that if she agreed to testify against Rolanda Brown, that we would give her the opportunity to plead to a reduced charge of simply a misdemeanor false information.
DeLoma accepts the offer and is released on bond.
She did sign a plea agreement, and the plan was that at trial she would testify. The misdemeanor false information only carried up to a year in jail, and she would have probably received probation, frankly.
But when Rolanda's trial is set to start in July 2017, DeLoma is nowhere to be found.
She gets cold feet and she decides, I'm not going to do this.
Prosecutors subpoenaed DeLoma Curtis, and she failed to appear, and a warrant was issued.
The question stands, is she going to show up and share the truth, or is she going to keep protecting her man?
DeLoma was just a victim of love, of misplaced love. That's what we know about her, that if she loves hard, she protects hard. It makes sense that she went all in and stood 10 toes down for the man that she loved. That is a trauma bond at its core. That is what happens when we don't process trauma correctly, when we don't heal and take care of ourselves. Our brain does strange things. And in this case, it led to murder.
Summer 2017, Omaha, Nebraska. Rolanda Brown is set to go to trial for the cold-blooded murder of Carlos Alonzo. Even with no murder weapon, prosecutors are confident because their star witness is DeLoma Curtis, the girlfriend of both men.
However, when trial came around, she was nowhere to be found, and a warrant was issued for her arrest.
The Metro Fugitive Task Force had to go out and look for her.
Despite Ms. Curtis not testifying, we were still able to present our evidence and explain to the jury what happened that night that Carlos Alonzo was gunned down. The story that we put forth to the jury was this was a love triangle that turned deadly.
They say that Carlos recently found out about the affair between DeLoma and Rolanda, and that caused a lot of fighting between the two of them. Neighbors even heard them fighting that night.
Carlos even took her phone away during the fight. And when DeLoma stopped responding to Rolanda after 1 a.m., he grabbed his gun.
They believe that Brown was fueling with jealousy, so he took his girlfriend's car and drove over to confront Carlos.
Based on the evidence from the surveillance video, it was apparent that Rolanda Brown arrived in his vehicle.
They say that Brown parked at the convenience store across the street and walked over to Carlos and DeLoma's home.
Prosecutors say since Carlos had DeLoma's phone, he knew Rolanda was coming to the house. So he went outside to confront him.
I don't think they argued much at all. There was also no evidence that there was any physical fight between the two. It did not appear from the evidence that he was there very long before he shot Carlos Alonso. And he went quickly back to his car.
A few moments later, DeLoma found the body of her boyfriend after hearing the shot.
Instead of being horrified about what Rolander had just done, DeLoma chose instead to help protect him. DeLoma Curtis was in a situation where she had been going through a divorce. She was in her middle age and still wanting love. She was caught between two different people, and as we see, the person that she seemed to love more is the one that she wanted to protect the most.
Her love seemed bigger than her logic and seemed bigger than her desire to get justice for Carlos.
DeLoma then came up with a cover story before calling the police and risked her career to help Rolander escape capture.
Even though it wasn't her to plan this murder, she was fully willing to help the person who did it not be brought to justice.
Despite the surveillance video, cell phone evidence, witness statements, and Jonas Miles's testimony, the defense still maintains that Rolander is not the shooter.
Rolander still pleads innocent, says that he is innocent, and DeLoma, his girlfriend, also had nothing to do with this crime.
The defense wasn't different than many defenses in this case. It's really about trying to show that there's reasonable doubt that the state doesn't have enough evidence. Part of the defense here was that the witness, who he confessed to, was not telling the truth. That what he was saying just so he could get out of jail. But in the end, the jury made the decision.
13 days later, Rolander Brown is convicted.
He was found guilty of a lesser-included offense of second-degree murder, use of a weapon to commit a felony, and possession of a gun by a prohibited person.
While they agreed that he was responsible for the murder of Carlos Alonso, they weren't convinced that the act was premeditated.
Rolander Brown was sentenced to 100 to 140 years in prison.
Then, on July 19, 2017, DeLoma Curtis was found in Iowa.
By the time DeLoma Curtis was arrested, it was too late for her to testify, and we did not honor the plea agreement for her to plead to a Class 1 misdemeanor. Once back in Omaha, she did enter a guilty plea to accessory to a felony and was sentenced to 3 to 5 years in prison.
DeLoma will now see a correctional facility from a whole new perspective.
DeLoma was released on parole in September of 2019. However, despite the lessons learned, DeLoma is still not done protecting her boyfriend when he comes up for appeal.
When Ms. Curtis got released, she did want to provide additional information to the Douglas County Public Defender's Office. She was trying to give information to help Rolander Brown.
She tells them that she has more information related to the murder of Carlos Alonso that had not been shared before.
She testifies at Rolander's hearing for a new trial.
DeLoma gives a sworn statement that she actually saw her brother kill Carlos and not Rolander Brown.
However, she does admit that Rolander was there when it happened and that he took off right after.
DeLoma is adamant she's telling the truth, but the court isn't so quick to believe this new version of events.
Because of her previous lies and the fact that she admitted to loving Rolander, the court was hesitant to believe anything she was saying.
Rolander's appeal is denied. In the end, an innocent man lost his life, all because of misguided love.
For someone like DeLoma, who has always loved love and had the happy ending taken away from her, that can be devastating to someone, especially someone who's in their 40s. That alone leaves you vulnerable. Someone speaks the right love language, and next thing you know, you're in love.
Carlos lost his life essentially because of a relationship he had with DeLoma Curtis. It's not necessarily that Deloma Curtis was a reason that he got shot. There was never anything about this case that suggested Deloma Curtis was telling Rolanda Brown to do this, that she was instigating this actual shooting. But when it happened, she was not willing to tell the truth. She was willing to protect the man who actually killed Carlos. And that's really the tragedy in all of this.
When you're an older woman always doing what's right, falling for a young bad boy can feel electrifying. But when his passion pulls you down a dark road, will you choose what's right or protect him to the end? When Leslie Gordon's boyfriend whisks her away for a quick getaway in Detroit, Michigan, she hopes their time alone together will bring them closer.
She was in love. This was her dream guy.
But when her man lets her in on his devilish plan, her weekend full of romance spirals into a deadly nightmare.
He didn't want any witnesses, anyone to identify him and Leslie as being a part of the robberies.
The only way that she was going to survive this was to do exactly what Michael said.
And later, hoping to turn her life around, Erica Shepard moves in with her brother in Houston, Texas, after a tumultuous relationship with her ex.
That was the place that she thought she would be safe.
But when a friend asks for a favor, her fresh start quickly fades as danger's shadow lurks in the horizon.
They snuck into Marilyn's apartment and hid, armed with knives.
There is blood everywhere. It's the most grisly kind of murder you can imagine, and within just a couple of minutes, they will die.
His life changes drastically while growing up in a single-parent home.
Leslie was a handful for her mother. She struggled to raise Leslie on her own.
Her mother was super strict. And because of that, they butted heads a lot.
Sometimes a parent's divorce may result in the kids acting out badly because they may blame either the mom and or dad for the marriage ending.
The preteen constantly defies her mom's authority and tries to escape any chance she gets.
Her mom kept looking for her when she would run away. And there were times Leslie would run away for days, weeks, and sometimes months.
She tried everything she could. She even paid to send Leslie to a private Lutheran school, and she got kicked out of that school.
Unable to discipline her child, the frustrated parent gets fed up with the troubled teen and relinquishes her parental rights.
Leslie's mom sent her to a juvenile facility until she reached legal age, really hoping that this experience would wake up Leslie to really begin to live a better life.
Parents may end up taking drastic measures to discipline their kids, especially if they feel that nothing really works.
But the time spent in the juvenile facility makes little impact on Leslie. When she's released at the age of 19, she has to find ways to fend for herself, even if it means getting in trouble.
Leslie worked at different odd jobs in order to maintain a sustainable lifestyle. She had friends that she could go to for support, but she was really on her own.
Once she got out, you would think that she would be on the straight and narrow, but she had a run-in with the law when she attempted to cash a forged check and got busted for that.
I believe that Leslie continued to act out even after she was released from the detention center, because that's all she knew. She continued to be rebellious.
Leslie's tryst with the law only earns her a slap on the wrist. But it's enough of a wake-up call for her to start to get a job and earn money the right way to support herself. The tides don't change for the next few years until, at 24, she meets 30-year-old Michael Schofield while taking a stroll one afternoon.
He was driving down the street and he spotted Leslie, so there had to be something that he liked about what he saw, so he pulled up and started talking to Leslie.
Michael was a soft-spoken, handsome furniture salesman.
The type of man that Leslie was attracted to had a tough persona, kind of like that bad boy image. So I believe that his tough persona drew him more to her.
But what she doesn't know is that she's not the only woman in his life.
She never really had a steady relationship, so when she met Michael, I think she thought she may have hit pay dirt at that point.
Shortly after they start dating, Leslie quickly learns that her new boyfriend's playboy ways aren't the only thing she has to worry about. Michael has a dark and violent past that landed him inside a prison cell at the age of 14.
He shot a star football player and 2 other students at his high school, and he was convicted of second-degree murder.
He serves 5 years in a maximum security facility until his release shortly after his 19th birthday. But despite the red flags waving at her, Leslie's in too deep with Michael and doesn't let his sordid past waver her feelings for him.
Michael was her dream guy. She didn't care about his bad ways.
Women who fall in love with bad boys quite often are attracted to the excitement of that kind of an individual who goes against the rules. A lot of the time, it's about the allure and mystery of that kind of an individual.
But a few months in, when the honeymoon phase is over, Leslie sees his true colors.
Where have you been?
Why are you asking me questions?
Where have you been? You've been gone? She found out, pretty fast that he had a temper.
Michael's temper would get the best of him, which pretty much led to angry outbursts.
Sometimes a woman finds it very difficult to break out of a tumultuous relationship because she's hoping that the endearing qualities of that individual may one day come back again.
To make up for his transgressions, Michael invites Leslie to a romantic weekend at a resort just outside of Detroit.
I think she was hoping that this weekend would be a defining moment in their relationship.
I believe she was curious about how he could afford this fabulous lifestyle, but she was excited. She was getting to spend time with her man.
He picks her up in his white sports car and whisks her away.
What Michael had planned was really an exciting weekend. He took Leslie on a shopping spree. He treated her to an expensive romantic dinner. He just spoiled her.
A person's intentions aren't always honest. If they want the other person to do something for them, they'll butter them up and treat them nicely. Then they'll swoop in and ask them for that favor.
While she savors the pampering she's receiving on their romantic rendezvous, Leslie claims she is caught off guard when Michael makes an eye-opening revelation about himself.
I'm the devil, and I'm going to send you straight to hell.
Leslie laughed it off.
She just thought it was a silly joke he was playing.
Leslie had no idea that this joke was about to become a reality.
Leslie Gordon believes that she has found the love of her life in Michael Schofield. But the Detroit native is left speechless while on a romantic getaway when her man makes an offhand remark that chills her to the core.
They were in the middle of this nice dinner, and Michael looks at Leslie and says, "I'm the devil, and I'm going to take you straight to hell." Leslie didn't let on that she was concerned by that comment. She actually laughed it off as a joke.
Leslie did not want to bring the mood down, so she let the comment go in order to continue the romantic evening with Michael.
The couple spends the rest of the night expressing their desire for each other. Then, the following morning, Leslie states that after she and her lover wake up and eat a leisurely breakfast, Michael makes another stunning announcement.
Michael told Leslie about this plan he hatched to rob a store nearby. She quickly agreed to do it.
Sometimes a person will do anything they can to hold on to that person they love, even if it's something illegal.
With Leslie on board, Michael asks his lady to don one of the new outfits he had purchased for her from their shopping spree, and then hands over a few items that they'll need for the robbery.
Michael tells her to put a 9mm gun, Ziploc ties, and gloves in her new purse.
Certainly when someone tells you to put a gun in your purse, you have to think twice about that. She just obeyed her man.
Next, the two drive off to the Novi liquor store in his white sports car. When they're inside the store, Michael takes the gun and zip ties from Leslie's purse and instructs Leslie to distract the store clerk.
Allegedly, Michael wanted Leslie to purchase a lottery ticket in order to be a distraction while Michael came in to make his move.
According to the store clerk, Michael walks up to him and Leslie, holding a gun in his hand.
He told Leslie to stand at the front of the store and look out for anybody that might be coming in.
Michael points the gun at the clerk's head, orders the clerk to go to the back of the store.
Then, the clerk states that Michael tied his hands with the zip ties, shoved him inside the walk-in fridge, and locks it before going back to the counter.
Michael took the cash out of the cash register. He took the safe, and Leslie and him walked out of the store, driving back to the hotel.
Full of guilt over what they had just done, Leslie is exhausted and decides to take a nap for a few hours.
While Leslie was asleep, Michael drove all the way back to Detroit to take the safe to his home.
When she woke up, she sees Michael sitting on the bed watching TV.
Leslie did not have a clue that Michael left while she was sleeping.
According to Leslie, he then asks her if she's up for an additional robbery.
Even though she was remorseful, when he suggested that they hit another store, she agreed to go along with the idea.
Sometimes people go along with another person's plans simply because they're in fear of their own lives and think that if they don't do what they're told, something bad may happen.
The duo leaves the hotel and heads towards Westland, a suburban town just 20 minutes outside of Detroit. Shortly before 8 p.m., a liquor store surveillance camera catches a white sports car pulling into the parking lot.
Just like the previous robbery, Leslie was to purchase a lottery ticket so that the clerk would be distracted. As she was purchasing the lottery ticket, she heard a gunshot.
She sees that Michael has shot this other clerk. She tried to remain calm and follow the instructions that Michael was barking at her.
Sometimes a person will go along with another person's plan and put a blind trust that everything will be okay. But when things go awry, then they begin to rethink their choices.
Next, Michael orders her to go to the front of the store and make sure nobody comes in. As she walks towards the door, he turns to the other clerk and fires at him as well.
After Michael shoots both of the clerks, he begins to look for the money and the video surveillance tapes.
Michael could not find anything. He was very unsuccessful, which produced more angry outbursts from him.
While he frantically continues his search, Leslie spots two men getting out of their car and heading towards the front door.
Leslie locked the door and told them that the store was closed.
Michael figured out what was going on, and he didn't want them to get away and possibly call police.
Leslie states that Michael told her to unlock the door and to let the two men in.
She unlocked the door and told the two men she was part of a security company that was working at the store that day. Michael was hiding in one of the aisles when the two men walked in.
The two newcomers have no idea the nightmare they've just walked into.
Witnesses weren't an option for Michael.
And later, Erica Shepard's inability to say no takes her on the joyride of her life.
Marilyn didn't die soon enough for them, so they used other means to try and stop the struggle.
Their time was running out, and fast.
Leslie Gordon holds her breath when two men step inside a liquor store, while her boyfriend, Michael Schofield, hides along the aisle after shooting two store clerks during a robbery in Westfield, Michigan.
When the two men walked in the store, Michael allegedly jumped out of the aisle and shot the two unsuspecting men.
One died instantly, and the other one was hanging on for dear life after he shot him in the neck.
Leslie is at a loss as to what to do next.
Leslie's reaction was a bit bizarre. She just started walking around. She walked over the bodies, and she started humming a tune.
When a person is in shock, they're really in a daze, and their mind is trying to catch up with whatever it is that's going on, and they almost feel like they're sleepwalking through that situation.
Meanwhile, Leslie witnesses while Michael tries to access the cash inside the register, but has trouble getting it to open.
He ordered Leslie to go back to the front of the store to be the lookout.
Once Leslie was at the front, she saw another car pull into the parking lot.
She told Michael that a car was pulling up, and at that point, Michael said, "Hey, baby, let's just go."
The two make their exit and calmly walk out toward the new car. But before the newcomers know what hit them, a surveillance camera catches a man matching Michael's description, aiming at them.
He shot each man right in the face. They both died.
Now, having gunned down 6 people, Michael aborts his plan for a quick getaway and puts Leslie to work.
Michael ordered Leslie to get the gloves and go back into the store to wipe down the door handles, making sure all fingerprints were removed from the door handles, IDing them being in the store.
Fearful of what he might do next, Leslie follows her boyfriend's instructions.
People will sometimes do what other people ask them to do because they're afraid of what might happen if they don't follow that order or command.
She was just doing what she was told as his partner in crime.
She wanted to make sure she did not upset Michael in any way. She just witnessed a man shoot 6 people, and she was fearful that she could be in jeopardy.
Once Leslie is confident that all their fingerprints are wiped clean, she hops back in the car, where Michael is waiting in the driver's seat.
As they rushed out, the man saw Michael and Leslie leave the scene of the crime.
The witness immediately calls 911 and gives the dispatcher a complete description of the vehicle and the gruesome crime scene. When investigators arrive, they quickly find one of the unsuspecting patrons, a store clerk, and both men in the car are dead. The remaining 2 victims are transported to the ER, where they ultimately survive. Police waste no time in trying to locate the couple, and within minutes, they track them down. But Michael isn't ready to go down without a fight.
He took the police on a 25-mile, 100 miles per hour high-speed chase on major highways.
He figured it was easier to flee and try to get away than to get caught because he was facing some serious time.
Police finally force the sports car off the highway and into a residential area where they're trapped at a dead-end street.
Michael and Leslie immediately got out of the car, running away from the scene.
Officers catch up to them 4 blocks away, trapping them with no way to escape.
His back was pretty much against the wall, if you will. He pulls out his 9mm and puts it to the roof of his mouth and pulls the trigger. And he died instantly.
Shocked at the turn of events, Leslie surrenders.
Leslie had to be a mess because Michael has committed suicide right in front of her. She was left to take all the blame.
Sometimes when a person has nothing to lose, it may just end up clearing their conscience by coming clean and just being honest with everyone who surrounds them.
Powerless to talk her way out of trouble, Leslie does just that.
Leslie cooperated with the police, giving them a written confession, admitting to everything.
Leslie Gordon is charged with multiple counts to include both first and second-degree murder, assault with intent to murder, and assault with intent to rob while armed. She is found guilty and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Due to his untimely death, Michael Schofield is not charged or convicted of the crimes committed, but the case is now closed. In the end, Leslie's love steered her in the wrong direction that led her to make some poor choices.
Michael took advantage of Leslie. He took advantage of Leslie's love. He knew that she was very vulnerable, and she would do anything for him.
Sometimes following your heart can steer you in the wrong direction. It will make you ignore the red flags and end up in a situation that may take you down the wrong path of love.
She simply was just following her heart, and she allowed her heart to lead her down the wrong path.
Leslie Gordon gave up her freedom for a man who in the end took the easy way out. 1,400 miles away in the Lone Star State, Erica Shepard follows the beat of another person's drum that takes her down a sinful road. Hailing from the blue-collar streets of Bay City, Texas, Erica Yvonne Shepard has always walked a righteous path.
Erica was raised very religious. She had strong Christian values.
A difficult course, given that her mother has been anything but a savior.
Erica herself described her mother as a monster. She would leave Erica and her brother alone a lot.
Her mother's lack of presence in her life leaves her vulnerable to the evils of the world around her.
Erica was sexually assaulted as a teenager. In one instance, the babysitter's boyfriend forced her to perform oral sex. That's the kind of nightmare that Erica was living through.
Sometimes people who are sexually abused may end up in relationships that may just be sexual in nature, and this may end up leading to more promiscuous sexual behaviors.
In a desperate attempt to find love, she finds herself pregnant in her early teen years.
By the 10th grade, she was already a mother of 2 young boys.
Erica has a hard time juggling between caring for her kids and finishing high school to get her diploma. And with the continued bad blood between her and her mom, she turns to her grandma for help.
Her grandmother was very supportive of Erica. She took her and the 2 boys in.
Shortly after moving into her grandmother's house, the teenager accompanies her to get her car fixed. That's where she meets a local mechanic, Frank Page.
Frank and Erica hit it off and they started a relationship, but they had to keep their relationship secret.
Frank was a guy who was 10 years older than Erica. He had been married before. She didn't know a whole lot about him, but she was smitten with him.
Sometimes when a girl grows up without her father, she may be more vulnerable to meeting someone who she may view as being more of a father figure, and that is usually someone who is much older.
After a few months of dating, Erica and Frank are hot and heavy, until she hits a bump in the road that threatens her newfound happiness.
Their secret love was about to be exposed.
At this point, her fate was sealed.
Deep in the heart of Texas, teen mom Erica Shepard tries to keep her relationship with her 26-year-old boyfriend, Frank Page, under wraps. But she makes a stunning revelation that threatens to reveal their secret.
Erica found out she was pregnant, and this would be her 3rd child.
You're pregnant? Oh my goodness, it's Frank.
She was hopeful that having this baby with Frank would finally give her the home and the family and the stability and the love that she desperately craved.
A person who grows up in a broken home and later on has their own children will fight like heck to make sure that that child had everything that they never had.
Her man is thrilled and promises to be there for her and the baby. But the pregnancy also forces Erica to come clean to her grandmother about her clandestine relationship and the life growing inside her.
Her grandmother was disappointed, but she supported her just like she supported her through her other 2 pregnancies.
Studies have shown that teens who end up having children face a lot of psychological stressors, especially as they get older. If there is family support or the support of the father of that child, that may in some ways lessen that impact of the stress on the family.
A few months later, Erica gives birth to a baby girl with Frank by her side. She's overjoyed when he expresses his desire to be a traditional family.
Frank said, I want you to stay at home full-time. I want you to be a full-time mom, take care of the babies, take care of the home. I'll go out and earn the money.
She was very excited about this offer for her other two kids, and so this guy was someone who was going to take care of all of them.
Eager to have the family she has always wanted, she does what her boyfriend asks and drops out of school, and Frank moves into her grandmother's home. But not long after they start living together, Erica begins to see a different side to her beau, when he begins to verbally abuse and make threats against her.
He would tell her, I will kill you if you try to leave me.
Erica puts up with his sudden outbursts for the next 2 years. Then, at 19 years old, she's finally ready to break free from his hold and decides to end things and move on, looking to make a fresh start.
In my opinion, what Frank made her endure, made her more susceptible to a man's influence. Erica was trying to keep distance between her and Frank. She didn't want to rely on a man.
She decided to move to Houston and move in with her brother.
People sometimes run away from home or from their families so that they don't have to deal with the issues or the pressures that they may be facing on a daily basis.
Erica leaves her 2 older children with her grandmother and packs up her and Frank's young daughter and head to Houston, where she feels they'll be much safer. She makes herself at home with her brother and his unemployed live-in boyfriend, 19-year-old James Dickerson.
James was a young man who was from a troubled background as well. He was also from Bay City, Texas. He did not work. He had a mindset that goes, I don't have any money. Let me go out and jack somebody up for some.
Erica and James quickly bond and become best friends. And while her brother works most days, she and her new bestie hang out doing nothing but watching her daughter. They spend their days musing about travel and other things they'd like to do in their leisure.
When a person comes from an abusive relationship and they meet another person who comes from a similar background, they end up perhaps becoming more attracted to one another because they can then identify with what it is that they have in common.
Then one afternoon, while her brother bonds with his niece over errands, the 2 friends talk about taking a trip back to Bay City for a quick visit. But there's one thing standing in their way.
They needed 2 things, money and a car, and that's something neither one of them had.
James said, you know what? Let's rob somebody to get those things.
Erica readily agrees to accompany her new man friend, and the 2 begin to concoct a plan.
I think it's possible that Erica was in agreement with James's plan because it would result in some money for her.
Sometimes a person will go along with a good plan or even a bad plan as long as there is a hefty reward waiting for them at the end.
While the 2 discuss how they're going to proceed with the carjacking, a friend of Erica's brother, Omar, stops by.
Erica and James didn't tell Omar about the plan, but they did speak in front of him openly.
The duo has no qualms discussing in front of their guest about the type of victim they're looking for and how they're going to attack. And after they come up with a strategy, the twosome decides to put it into action the next day.
Those who have committed a crime or about to commit a crime, especially against someone that they don't know, they don't even care about the consequences of their actions or the consequences of what their actions will be.
The following day, Erica and James begin to scout for a victim. And as luck would have it, they don't have to go very far when they spot a shiny black sports car pulling into the complex.
The sports car was important to James because that was the car that he always wanted. This made him even more excited to go through with the plan.
They watch out the window as the car's owner, 43-year-old single mother of 2, Marilyn Sage Maher, goes about her day.
They had watched Marilyn open the trunk of her car, open the doors, carrying groceries into her apartment. She carried one set of groceries in, left the door open to her apartment, and then returned to her car.
They figured that was the perfect moment to carry out their plan.
They grabbed knives from the kitchen and the two rushed downstairs.
Erica and James snuck into Marilyn's apartment and hid.
When Marilyn enters her home with her next load of groceries, she gets an unsettling feeling when she hears a noise. She calls out and walks toward the bedroom door.
Hello?
After Marilyn called out, Erica jumped out, and she had her little knife, and she tackled her. James immediately went to help Erica tackle Marilyn and subdue her.
Marilyn is shocked to see two intruders in her home. Her simple trip to the grocery store has turned into her worst nightmare.
Stop! Shut up, or I will...
Marilyn started fighting and screaming for her life.
She did not stand a chance.
Erica Shepard and her BFF, James Dickerson, are in a scuffle with Marilyn Maher after the devilish duo attacks her inside her Houston apartment, hoping to rob her blind and steal her car.
Marilyn went bonkers. She started screaming, she struggled, and she kept desperately yelling for help. James kept saying, "Be still or I will slit your throat," but she just kept resisting.
Erica then demands that Marilyn hand over her car keys as James holds a knife up to the helpless woman.
Initially, Marilyn did not give her the keys. She told Erica that she was crazy and that she wasn't giving her anything. James raised the knife a little higher up to Marilyn's throat and demanded the keys.
That's when she threw some money out and basically relented. Marilyn then capitulated and said, "Hey, there's money in the bedroom, the car keys are in the bedroom, take whatever you want, don't hurt me." They were armed, they were dangerous, they were desperate.
James then forces her flat on her back, sits on her chest, and begins sawing at her neck.
He tried to slice Marilyn's throat and was unsuccessful at making a fatal wound. So Erica retrieved a butcher knife from the kitchen and handed it to him.
James stabs Marilyn 5 times, slashing into her jugular vein.
You cut the jugular vein, there's a lot of blood, and it's pulsating, and someone could actually lay there, struggle, and bleed to death for 2 to 3 minutes.
Meanwhile, Erica runs up to Marilyn's bedroom to search through her belongings, finding more money and the keys to her car.
After James has brutally, viciously stabbed Marilyn in the neck, he called out to Erica to come help him because Marilyn was still alive.
He then grabs a plastic bag and tries to suffocate the struggling woman.
Even through that bag, she was still gasping for air.
The duo removes the plastic and covers her up with a bedsheet to try to suppress her breathing even more. Then, James grabs a makeshift weapon sitting on a glass table nearby.
James took the 10-pound statue and hit Marilyn over the head with it. He did it with such force that it caused the statue to break in half.
At that point, Marilyn Maher was dead.
I don't know why James and Erica decided to murder Marilyn, but she obviously put up a fight. She fought for her life. According to the Harris County Medical Examiner's Office, Marilyn ultimately died from blunt force trauma, from stab wounds, and from being beaten, bludgeoned to death.
When someone is just acting on adrenaline, they are just determined to do what they have to do. They just want to get the job done by any means necessary.
Now, with no one standing in their way, the two friends make their escape.
They grabbed the car keys, they grabbed the money that they had taken from Marilyn, and they got in the car and took off.
They left the apartment complex on their road trip to Bay City.
Most often, criminals work quickly. They just want to get in there, perpetrate that crime, get out of there as quickly as possible before they get caught. But the thing is, they're not thinking about the evidence they have left behind.
But in their haste to leave the scene, they fail to notice a man watching their every move.
There was a witness to their crime, and he was not going to keep quiet.
Erica Shepard and her friend James Dickerson are quick to leave town after robbing and brutally killing Marilyn Maher inside her Houston, Texas home.
They left her body in her apartment, they jumped into her car, and they headed to Bay City.
Once they arrive, they pick up a friend and show off their new ride. But the fun doesn't stop there.
They were staying at a motel, and it was like they were on a vacation. They were even swimming in the motel pool.
Sometimes people will show off simply because they have accomplished something that they thought was really fantastic. They have achieved a goal and they want to prove it to everyone else.
Meanwhile, back in Houston, Marilyn's 19-year-old daughter, Stacy, arrives home to the apartment she shares with her mom.
She noticed that her car was gone, so I think she assumed that Marilyn was not home. And then she noticed bedding on the floor. That's when she realized someone was under there and there's blood.
She sees her hand, and she realizes it's her mother there murdered on the floor.
Stacy was mortified, and she immediately called 911.
Houston police rushed to the apartment.
Investigators collected evidence and photographed and videotaped the apartment.
They found 3 knives, and they found a bloody handprint.
After gathering evidence in the apartment, they questioned residents at the complex to find out if anyone had seen or heard anything.
One neighbor told the police that they saw 2 people who fit the description of James and Erica leave in Marilyn's sports car.
Investigators dig deep to find out who the 2 people are. They catch a big break the following day after word spreads in the media. Erica's brother's friend Omar remembers the conversation he overheard between Erica and James.
Omar came forward to police and said, "I have something to tell you." And he told them that he was present when James and Erica were plotting to carry out a robbery.
He also provided information that they were in Bay City, or that they were going to go back to Bay City.
Houston investigators notify Bay City law enforcement to be on the lookout for the twosome and the stolen sports car. Hours later, patrol officers spot Marilyn's car parked outside a motel.
Police found James and Erica in the room where they were staying, and also in that room they found a knife. And that knife was very similar to one of the knives found next to Marilyn's body.
The 2 are arrested and transported back to Houston for questioning. Over the next few days, with their friendship virtually over, the bond between the 2 partners in crime is broken, and they don't hesitate to throw each other under the bus.
I interviewed James Dickerson, and he confessed to his role and also implicated Erica in the capital murder. And at the same time, Erica Shepard was being interviewed in another interview room by another detective, and she confessed as well.
When someone commits such a heinous crime, often they're compelled to confess, not just to clear their conscience, but to also get that crime, that stench, off of their soul.
James Dickerson is convicted of capital murder and is sentenced to death by lethal injection. But after 4 years, he dies of AIDS while he awaits his execution. Erica Shepard is charged with capital murder and is found guilty by a jury after deliberating for less than 2 hours. She is sentenced to death by lethal injection.
Justice prevailed in this case. Both Erica and James were apprehended quickly, and they were both tried by juries of their peers and sentenced. James Dickerson ultimately paid for the crime with his life. Erica Shepard has remained on death row for a long time. From a personal standpoint, every murder case you investigate, you take a little bit away from each. It's not an ideal situation.
In the end, the abuse Erica endured from her ex made her more susceptible to another man's influence.
Erica tried to run away from her past, but the past always has a way of catching up.
Quite often, people end up dating the same person over and over again, even if it's different people. They seem to be attracted to that kind of a personality, that kind of a behavior, quite often because they never learned in the first place why they may have be under the spell of someone who can be so destructive.